So if this is working right, we should be live on TikTok here. We should be live on YouTube here. We should be recording on a camera here. And TikTok can't see YouTube. YouTube can't see TikTok. And this camera can't see either. So this is kind of to simulate an event that we're planning on having coming up. And you guys are going to simulate the live audience. And part of what we can talk about is what's in the little thumbnail that you see on TikTok. There's nothing on the thumbnail on YouTube, but appreciate those people that are joining in. You guys are simulating the audience, and it's called Jesus is Awful. It's a play on words, but it's also we're going to see if we can make it funny as well. But we're going to be talking about family, religion, work, Jesus, politics, the world, education, movies, music, the devil, money, power, change, and consciousness, right? So that's part of the topic that we'll talk about. If you're seeing this on YouTube, not on YouTube. Yeah, I did post it on YouTube, and I posted it on TikTok. I've been working within the educational system and making connections on a STEAM program. So this is also testing that out with putting arts in front. And for those that don't know what STEAM is, it stands for science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, right? So we're creating a STEAM program that uses the arts as an avenue to bring awareness to the other facets of STEAM. And this is an example of that, and is to showcase some of the artistic events and use artists' abilities and talents to generate creations that can help sustain the operation. So that's part of the intent with that. So appreciate y'all joining in. And part of it is to entertain. So and entertain as we enlighten as well, because part of this is talking about spirituality, consciousness. That's what's at the base of this. But we're using STEAM as an avenue to implement change. So I'll just tell you a little bit about me for those that don't know. Oh, and we'll just tell you how this is going to work. So this green screen is actually going to be replaced with footage of whatever we talk about. So this is kind of dynamic. What's good to the people that's joining. So this is live. So part of this is going to be put into a special. That's what's recording here. And as I talk about things, I can put them on the green screen. So I'm kind of folding time over itself as we go through this. So I've had a camera in my hand for, 30 years, right? So I can show you footage of me that you won't see here in the final special that just, shows as proof. So I'm documenting my journey from just putting it online. You can look at Vikter Bang. It stands for Victory Over Noise, right? It's about an engineer that awakened in this matrix. That's what the Truman Show is about. That's what, that's when I got on social media, was to talk about this, because it's really deep when you think about it. And part of this experiment is seeing if there's ways to talk about it and put it out there in the public that are not, that are easily absorbed, is probably the best way to put it, right? And laughter is a good way to absorb information. If you got your hands up and you got your guard up, it's going to be a different conversation than if I'm laughing and joking with you. So part of the thing is, could this be funny? And a lot of the things that, and I put Jesus is awful. Let's go there. Wait, let me just finish with the whole time thing, because what you're seeing now is live, but the final product is going to be put on YouTube. It may be premiered at this show, and we're just kind of playing with that. So you guys are the live audience that's seeing this live. This is freestyle as well, and it's kind of based on some of the things that you come up. So those are the come up with topics, right? And it's all crazy because we all have family, crazy family. We can talk about that. Work, crazy co-workers, we can talk about that. This crazy world, we can talk about that. There's a lot of craziness going on, but it's not all bleak. But the thing is to be able to look at it, because in my mind, for this timeline, for this reality to work, and to be frank, we're the generation that I don't think has to make the change, right? We're the ones that have to break the curses. We're the one that have to make the new strides. And if we don't, then we'll just continue the path that we're going. And to me, that's just self-destruction, right? It's just, we're just going down the drain, and we're just watching it happen. And we're just moving the clock closer and closer to midnight and just waiting for us to blow ourselves up over nonsense. A lot of this stuff that we fight over is nonsense. It's crazy when you really think about it, right? And we'll get into that. But part of this is going to be folding the timeline on itself, because what I like to do is maximize human potential, right? I want us to be on the highest timeline that we can be on, because to me, we're all family. There's different levels of family. We can just start talking about family. All of us have crazy family members and family members that challenge us and that make us question a lot of things. I've learned a lot from my family members. I take a lot of them and implemented that into my character. And some of them you can learn from in ways of not to do things, right? Your family members can show you ways of not to be. This reality can show you ways and not to be as well. So you can learn from a bad example as well. Our problem is we continue to repeat the same mistakes, repeat the same thing, wanting different results. And that's, what they call insanity, right? So we have to make changes, but we get comfortable and we get in a rut, and humanity has been in a rut for a while. So it's work getting out of that rut and all of that stuff. So, but now this is the process. And the best way to do that is in the light. Just bring it all out. Let's just be human. Let's just be ourselves. Let's just say we all make mistakes, that we're all learning and we're all evolving, and there's plenty that we don't know, right? Just to be honest with that and just say, hey, we've tried this, it doesn't work, and let's not be closed-minded to other ideas, even though they may look different than yours. I'm looking for the best idea to solve the situation. Like I consider myself a problem solver, a creative problem solver. So I'm an engineer by trade and by degree. I'm an engineer that woke up in the matrix, like for real. Like Bill Nye the Science Guy is a mechanical engineer, and so am I, right? But I not only can talk about engineering stuff, I can talk about science and how that relates to consciousness and spirituality. And we'll jump into this real quick, because one of the topics is Elon Musk. And he was just in an interview where he was talking about things that are fundamentally being missed by science and mainstream science and things of that nature. And it is the soul, it is consciousness, it is spirituality. That's really what is being missed and overlooked. It's coming to the forefront, but now we're starting to look at how much time do we have? Do we have enough time to let these old ideas just fade away, or do we need to challenge them now and say we're not going to perpetuate this any longer, right? We need to stop the bleeding at this point. And at this point, this is just old ideas, old ways of thinking, old belief systems, old matrix programming. That's what we're seeing. Those wars and everything that we're fighting over is just old, antiquated BS ideas, right? And it's funny when you really think about it. Like we just continue to perpetuate that stuff. And I'm in the Bible Belt, right? So the Bible Belt is crazy. So there's people that are racist here and all of this stuff, and that's fine. There's I wouldn't say that's fine. I don't judge anyone for their belief system. You can believe whatever you want to believe. That's fine. The question is it true, right? Is your race inferior or superior to my race because of the skin color and things of that nature, right? Is that true? You can believe that all you want. Question is that true? Hell no, it ain't true, right? Right? If you really think about it, no, it's not true. And that could easily be proved. The thing that gets me a lot with what's going on now is how these things that can easily be proved wrong are still propagated. Like we're still talking about racism, really? We're still talking about this. We haven't figured out like that's not worth the division and the fighting that we're dealing with. We haven't figured out a way to just get past the superficial things. We're really more alike on the inside than we are. We're really more connected. We really look at it. We're all one consciousness experiencing this whole thing. We're all spiritual beings having a human experience, if you will. I'm looking at this because this is not in focus. But yeah, that's what we got going on. So that is something that is at the base layer of this reality, right? This matrix, if you will. And so we'll talk about the matrix. Let's go and get into the matrix. Because imagine I'm Neo in the matrix, and I'm talking to an audience that is awakening, some that are looking at this, some that are questioning this, whatever, right? It's a personal thing. It's a awakening. It's not something that you can put on anybody else. You can't wake somebody up. You can't do that. That's something that they have to realize themselves. You can be an example of that, and you can show them the benefits of that and the value of that. And then they can see that, oh, well, that light that you're shining is, within me too. Because it's work. And I'll use this as an example. Yeah, I got props here too. We're going to go for a few props. But awakening is like this. It's like cutting a coconut. And, I don't know if you guys have tried to cut a coconut. It is not easy, right? That's a lot of stuff to cut through. And this is kind of like the spiritual journey, going within the inner journey that one needs to go through to get to the inner parts of yourself, right? When you ask that question, who are you? Right? You're not your job. You're not your profession. You're not your name. You're not those things. Those are labels and all of these things. And then that inside part of you that you access, that you can access, is what you turn on. You can call that enlightenment. You can call that Christ consciousness. You can call that whatever name you want to call it, right? And then the people that realize this and get these lights turned on within themselves, right? They come in and they tell you, hey, this same light is within you, right? But you got to do this. You got to do this inner work to get to it. And that's the name of the game, right? Now, if someone doesn't know this and then they feel that this light's not within them and that light's outside of them, then now if someone is controlling the perception of these people, then that's kind of what we got going on here. Or what they do is they'll deify the individuals that turn this light on, like a Jesus or a Buddha or someone like that, right? These type of enlightened, aware people, right? They deify these people and they don't show you that you can do these things as well, and it's even in the scriptures and all of this stuff. But again, this is one of the matrix programs, religions, right? So this is one of the things, and we're just going to get into it, right? Religions. Most people are stuck on one page of whatever religion that they are following, right? And they really don't look at the bigger picture and the whole idea and even the things that unite some of these belief systems. I just call them belief systems, right? These belief systems, the things that unite these at the core, right? And if you only look at one, and most of the time we don't look at them because built into them is not questioning, right? You shouldn't question these things. You should just believe and have faith, and then that be it. But you have a rational mind to question. There's nothing wrong with questioning. That's one of the things that I don't like about belief systems that don't allow you to question. I came up in one that was like, this is the way, the only way, and if you don't follow this way, you're gonna burn eternally in hell from a God of love. Like, wait a minute, hold on, God love me, but you're gonna create a place that's gonna burn me forever? Really? Like, does that make sense? Is that not crazy? When you really think about it. As far as Christian, I'm here in the West, so I grew up in a Church of Christ. I don't know if you guys know what Church of Christ is, but they didn't even allow music in the church, right? And they were, to me, were very judgmental, right, and very hypocritical as well, and I know I'm painting with a broad brush when I'm not saying everyone was like that, but I saw a lot of examples of people that were like that. And a lot of church membership is declining because of this. Just be real, just not be superficial and hypocritical and pretend to be holy and pious on one day and be a damn rascal the other 6 days of the week. That's what we got going on. Everyone's praying in the white church and the black church tomorrow and Sunday, but at each other's throat the other 6 days of the week, right? And they're all trying to please this God that, that's a whole different story, right? And a lot of them don't even realize the God that they have within them, right? But religions is one way to control, and that's what it's been used with. That's what it's been used for, right? Church and state get together and they control what you think. From a afterlife standpoint, they control what you think when you're not working, and then they control the work environment. And in the work environment, you can't talk about politics and religion are what controlling, the things outside of the work environment, right? So it's just interesting how this matrix is set up, and it is, to me, purposely set up like that to continue that control. And just follow the money. What does it benefit? It benefits the rich at the hands of the poor, right? The only way 1% can control 99% is that 99% don't know their value, right? So that's why the whole name of the game is saying this is not even within you. You don't have any value. So now you're devalued, and the people that do this, they're up here. They're the one and only saviors. You're down here. You got to do all of this stuff to get some love and light that's already within you already, right? You just got to realize that. That's the whole name of the game. But that's the game that's played. So, God, we talked about God and let's talk about Jesus. It's all about Jesus. So here in the Bible Belt, and it's interesting. Jesus, I see different churches talk about it's all about Jesus. It's all about Jesus. Like Jesus would have done exactly what they're doing now in church. Like Jesus would have a big mega church. Like Jesus would do the things that they're doing in Jesus' name, right? It's just very interesting because the examples of Jesus in the church were not good. Jesus cut up. Jesus acted a fool in the church, right? Because they were turning the church into to a money thing, which is kind of similar to what we got going on now. And the church and state were in collusion, kind of similar to what we got going on now. So why would Jesus be in the church like they are in the church? It's interesting to see. Yeah, and we won't even talk about religion too much, even though it says Jesus is awful. The reason that we chose the title Jesus is awful is a play on kind of the way we've been programmed. We gravitate to negative news, we gravitate to negative things. And there was a Netflix show that was I forgot the name of it. I think Kate is Awful or something like that, where the main character, the title was awful. And they said in the market research, they were trying to have it a more positive name, but that didn't trend well because people are programmed to look at negative stuff. Just look at the news, right? And we can get into news as well. There's a clip that I could show back here of the broadcast news anchors telling the same corny behind jokes and all of them in accordance saying the same thing. So it makes you wonder who writes that script, right? And when you're controlling the money, when you're controlling business, you can do that, right? That's their prerogative. The whole thing is the question: who does this script benefit? Does it benefit you, or does it benefit others? And right now, it seems like it's benefiting others. That's the system that we got going on. So we're talking about it. It is what it is. We can change it. I'm doing my little part. We all are doing our other parts, and eventually we'll put those together. I think eventually we'll put those together, but we have to have that conversation. Part of that conversation I put on here, Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, Cat Williams, Oprah Winfrey, and Tucker Carlson. Like, I would like to talk to those. I think those are individuals that could spread a message and could touch a lot of people and do touch a lot of people, right? So it'd be interesting to have a conversation with them about consciousness, about change, about how they see this world progressing, right? Elon Musk wants to get off the planet. You know, he wants to save the light of consciousness somewhere else, right? But not all of us have spaceships. So for all of us that don't have spaceships, we need to figure out how to solve the hard problems here. And part of that hard problem has to do with consciousness, has to do with spirituality, has to do with the deeper aspects of ourselves that we can't see, right? That we have to experience. Because when you boil this down, this is all about experience, right? The whole name of a game of life is not to die with the most money in the bank. I know there's people that think, oh, well, the whole name of the game is to die with the most ones behind, or zeros behind your name in your bank account. Like, this is not the intent of life, right? But some people play that and they think that's how you keep score. There's not a score to be kept. You're really only playing against yourself at the end of the day. But these conflicts are dealing with things that are not really, they don't matter as much as we think. The material stuff, the fake lines that we draw in the sand, these conflicts, and you can't solve them with war. Like, a lot of people fight over God. A lot of people fight over Jesus. A lot of people fight over these fake lines that we draw that are man-made, these rules that are man-made, these belief systems that are man-made. A lot of us don't question, but you can't. War is just going to perpetuate that idea. You got this person fighting that person. There aren't, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. You know, I appreciate y'all enjoying. Correct me if I'm wrong, but where's the example of war creating peace? It may have quelled some things to a certain point, but if you killed my family, that's not something I'm going to forget. Like, and it's just a constant back and forth. It's just a constant back and forth. So you need to understand you're going to need peace. You just can't. You're just not going to be able to kill out the enemy, right? Unless that's a genocide. Unless you just wipe out a whole entire people. And why are you wiping out a whole entire people? Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to squash a whole ethnic group, right? What sense does that make? Because they believe something different, or because this line is here or that, or like, a lot of this is, things we can talk about and things maybe we can laugh about, because it is crazy when you look at it just from a planet. Just think about the planet. We're given these resources, right? You don't have to pay for the sun, right? You don't have to pay for air, water, things like that. So all the things that are provided for us are free. Now we divide those up and say, this is mine, this is yours. And now we got these monetary systems that we use to divvy up funds and all of that. And I get all of that. That's fine. But that's the man-made part of it. That's the matrix part. That's the artificial part. That's the part that allows the control, because now I can create scarcity when there's really abundance, right? And then I can make it illegal for you to access that abundance. There's different ways that you can do this through laws and things of that nature. You got to look at who writes the laws. You got to look at who the laws benefits. If you follow the money in this reality, and I'm speaking like I'm not from this reality, right? If I gave you an alien perspective, if you follow the money, you would see who's running things, right? And it's not the people that you would think is running things, right? But there are figureheads, there are gatekeepers, there are individuals that are pulling strings, and there are individuals that tell them what to do. There are people that shake the president's hand when he comes in and shakes the president's hand when he leaves, right? And there are certain things that happen regardless of who's in office, right? Let's just take a look at that. There's certain things in certain corporations that are in power no matter who's in office, no matter if it's a Democrat or Republican or this person or that person. So let's talk about politics, because to me, politics is like wrestling. It's like they show you that they're fighting, and there's this person, and this is good and this is bad, and you're going to root for this one and root for that one. And it's just the left, right. It's just the whole division. There's not a cooperation. You can't have a bird fly with both wings fighting each other, right? You got the left wing and the right wing. I don't know why this thing is not focusing right over here. Sorry for the focus for the YouTubers. I'm going to use the audio from YouTube on this, so that's why I got to record that. But yeah, can you imagine a bird trying to fly out the left wing was fighting the right wing? They were fighting, it wouldn't get anywhere. And that's kind of what we got with our political system. The right wing fighting the left wing, and the left and the right, instead of working together to get us off the ground, to get us out of debt, to get us in a better situation, right? There's a million ways that you can govern yourself and govern a country and govern a planet besides these limited ways that we do now, right? You got to open the box. You got to think outside of the box and take the bits and pieces that work from each system and create a new one, right? Create a remix what we got going on. Because to change the world, when you really think about it, is not as hard as you think, and it can happen quicker than most people think. That's the thing that excites me and keeps me going, because you look at this reality. And I was just talking to teachers in Head Start that are teaching 4 and 5 years old, right? 4 and 5-year-olds. So these are the next generations. So, and they're complaining about the system and the red tape and the difference in the quality of education for the next generation, the new generation. These are, 4 and 5 years old. And these are the teachers that are expressing their frustration, right? So you would think the system would listen to that feedback and support that and create systems that would better empower teachers to increase education if education is as important as it is, right? But that's not the case, right? Hearing that from the teachers, right? You can hear something different from a politician that's talking education, but you can also get information from the boots on the ground, the people that are actually teaching your kids, that are actually talking to your kids. Like, what do they feel? And part of the STEAM program is to help them and to bring more awareness and bring more funds to those programs, because a lot of the arts are underfunded. So that's why we're amplifying the arts, because arts are not only just creative expression, which I think is important, but it's also creative problem solving, which is important as well, to be able to see a solution that isn't there. A lot of humans don't see the solution that isn't there, right? You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just kind of remix what's already here. And you could do that quickly. COVID-19 showed that you can have drastic change very quickly, right? And if you believe in the whole, and I'll look at it as conscious and unconscious. Let's just look at it that way. You're either conscious or unconscious. If you want to say unconscious is equal to NPCs, I understand that. But I'm just saying there's people that are conscious and unconscious. There are people that are just following programs and not questioning. Those are the unconscious. They're not questioning. They're just doing things because is how it's been done. This is how we do it. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, or it doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense. They're just going to do it because they're just following programs. They haven't questioned. And that works on multiple levels. And you can see that from multiple levels, poor, rich, and all of that, right? Smart, not smart, it doesn't matter. They can still be unconscious. It doesn't have to do with intellectual capability. You can have conscious people that are bums. You can have unconscious people that are bums. You can have conscious and unconscious people that are billionaires, right? So it's on the individual. But with COVID, it just showed. That was an example. You can see that there were a large group of people that did not question and just followed the orders, right? So in my mind, if you're able to change the orders, if you're able to change the script, there are a large percentage that are just going to follow the script because they follow orders. So if they're unconsciously following the script, if you can change the script, then you can change what they follow. And that can be something that's more beneficial for them, better for them, with more equality and things of that nature. So we're able to create that system. We're able to talk about it. We're able to imagine it. Then we can do it. It's just a matter of showing people that that's more valuable and that's going to benefit them better than the systems that they have now, right? Those systems are just vampires that just suck the wealth up from the 99%, if you will, and suck it up to the it just funnels it up. There's no trickle down effect, right? They can say that, but what is our experience? And you can see the sayings: the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. That's the system that we have now. At least that's the impression of it. That's not the only system that we can have. We can do other things, right? But that's politics. You're not supposed to talk about that at work. You're not supposed to talk about the politics in the state being in collusion, and how Christianity is just a way of, are we really a Christian nation? What is a Christian nation? Is Christianity about Christ, or is it about, and what is Christ? Is that about Christ consciousness? Is Christ a person, or is it Christ the title, right? These are questions that most people don't ask in religion, because you're not supposed to ask those questions. And in the Bible Belt, it's just interesting. I don't know how y'all family were, but my family, they were religious in a sense, but in another sense, they just did what they wanted to do, and the religion allowed them to just repent. A lot of people do that. You can say I'm sorry, but to truly repent, you need to change your actions, right? You need to really change your program. You need to change what you do. All right. So that's what that's about. So so Elon Musk is about taking the light of consciousness elsewhere. We're about expanding the light of consciousness here, because that's what has to happen for us to make this planet into something other than a destruction that's just waiting to happen. Like, we're just waiting for the Civil War. We're just waiting for World War III. We're just creating these scenarios and movies that show, attacks on the U.S. soil and things of that nature. And it's a potential. If you really look at how the game is played and how they're moving the pieces, I mean, it's leading up to those things if we do nothing, right? But it's our choice. It's our choice. So, and I wonder if these are gatekeepers as well. Elon and Joe, Kat, Oprah, Tucker. It'd be interesting to talk to them, and because I can't be that smart. Like to me, changing the world, when you talk about it just from a change in what we do, because these systems that we've created, all of this monetary stuff, it doesn't really exist. These are just numbers that are on a screen. So we can reset that. COVID just shows you can reset a whole reality. You can pause a whole economy if you wanted to. So we can say, all right, we're going to stop this matrix. And this way we're going to do that. We're going to start a new matrix, right? We're going to just, there's nothing stopping us from doing that, because it's just how we interact with each other. It still doesn't change who we are at our core. We're still human beings, but how we interact with each other can be different, right? We can live in a peaceful environment. There's enough for us all, right? I mean, there really is. This scarcity that we fight over is artificially created, right? To keep us divided so that we don't create that reality. That's part of it. And you can say it's a war on consciousness. It's a spiritual war. You can say it's all of that. And yeah, there are people that will not want you to have access to this information, so that you continue to use your actions in their way. Because if you're unconscious, you're just following the script and you're following their script. So your actions are going to lead to things that are going to benefit them versus things that can benefit you, right? So if you're an agent for the matrix, if you're unconscious, then you're running the program of the matrix. And if the matrix is programmed to funnel money and power and resources to a certain group of individuals, and you're unconscious, your actions being unconscious will contribute to that end, right? But we can also create a different situation where that's something else, right? So that's a potential, but we have to talk about that and put that in the open. And I would like to talk about that with Elon, Joe, Kat, Oprah, and Tucker. an illegal alien would like to say, hey, you humans and you guys have a lot of power, influence, and money. You can make a drastic change. Like if I had Elon's money, like, can you imagine what I would already have done with those kind of resources? Or even Joe's money. Yeah. But yeah, I don't have access to that yet. But part of doing things like this, and I'm an engineer, I'm normally behind the scenes, I'm normally behind the camera. But me being in front of the camera is getting out of my comfort zone, practicing what I preach as someone that's, practicing what he preaches, right? So as I'm telling people, we're going to need to get out of our comfort zone and do things that are different. I'm doing the same thing as well. It's not normal for me to go live on either of these platforms for this long and say these things in this way, even though I do post a lot of this stuff. But it's just going to be some changes that are going to be seen differently. And it looks like that stopped. So, and that's probably where we're going to stop here. And I appreciate y'all joining in. I just needed to kind of talk a little bit. There's a lot that I could mention. I mean, there's a lot that, you can really be a Debbie Downer if you want to, right? As far as the negative things that are going on in this reality. But we're going to focus on the positive side, right? I just want to say this as far as topics, movies, music, money. Let's just look at this example, and I'll leave this here from a monetary standpoint, because the system that we have, just think about money, money as a resource, right? And to hoard those resources, because one of the things that I want to show in this example, in this STEAM example, and STEAM is just using the science, technology, engineering, arts, and math in a different way, remixing, again, practicing what I preach, remixing those things with a focus more on the arts, but showing how that is an example of how cooperation is better than competition, right? And right now, this reality is built on competition, right? Your own being, your own body is built on collaboration, right? Your heart in a healthy person is not in competition with your liver or your kidney or your pancreas, right? They're in collaboration. They each do their certain parts and contribute to a whole, right? That's the smaller aspect of ourselves, right? And we expand that out, we can do that as well. It's part of collaboration. If we have competition, that's cancerous, right? When we're competing with ourselves, when our cells are competing with ourselves, that's cancerous, right? That's not a good thing. So when you got a human competing with the planet, that's cancerous. That's not a good thing, right? Because that human doesn't realize his own connection to the other human, right? That's cancerous, or to the planet. That's cancerous as well. So spirituality is important for that. But we're about making that connection and showing that difference. And maybe other people will get on board, and that can be part of a new way of interacting with each other. I would say a new economy, but it can be something, yeah, you could say a new economy, right? And we can create that because we're the ones that power this economy. This economy is powered by our dollar, right? So when we're able to connect, and that's part of the fear that they have, we're the ones that choose which companies succeed and which companies don't succeed, right? By our support, right? That's how powerful we are. So we can put our support into things that benefit the community and benefit us versus putting our things into support that only benefit a select few, right? So that's part of the example as well. And these are all things that need to be created and processes that need to start, but we can start these things very quick, right? And yeah, that's all I wanted to say about that. I guess that's it. So I appreciate y'all joining in. And next time we'll try to make it funnier. I guess we were a little more serious in this one, but we talked about these topics and tried to make it light. But next time we'll try to be a little more funny. All right, y'all. Peace. Oh, it's still Jake. Let's see. I see you, Jake. Let's see. I don't know about Cat. The rest of them signed contracts. Good. What's good, Jake? Let's see. We are not in this world, God. This world. Uh, hey, I appreciate the comments, Jake. And I will say, um, how you say, when out of this world, the God of this world is Satan. Yeah. Well, that's an interesting thought, Jake. that'll be something that will probably have to be a different conversation because yeah, that's an interesting thought. But man, appreciate the comments, Jake. Appreciate you joining in. We'll be hollering at you, bro.